1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men are victims of sexual abuse. And these numbers don't highlight the disproportionate numbers of those survivors who don't report, or those survivors who may identify elsewhere on the gender spectrum. This podcast is for all of us, survivors of sexual abuse and assault, who want to experience a life worth living beyond a tragic past. My name is DJ Burr, and I'm a licensed mental health therapist, author, screenwriter, sober person, and I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. I know the complexity of healing from trauma. I also know the joy that comes from the healing process. Hear our stories and share your own. You are not alone. Welcome back to another episode of Journey On. This is DJ Burr, and today I am talking with my good friend Andre. Andre, welcome back to Journey On.
Thanks, DJ. Thanks for having me again. It's great
to
talk to you again after, I think, about a couple years.
Right. So you were on a couple years ago, and I was on hiatus after I went and had some kids. So I'm glad to be back to bring some survivor stories, and it's nice to be able to catch up with folks who were on the show before. What's been happening for you?
Well, I think that was pre-COVID, so I guess it's been a lot since we've talked. As far as work on survivor issues, I've been able to grow and start up a men's support group out here in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. We started meeting together in person in September 2019, but since then, since COVID hit in April, we've been meeting online, and it's been pretty good. We've been able to expand our availability to folks just not on Oahu. We have a couple on the neighbor islands, like Big Island, Kona side, and then even a survivor I met at a malesurvivorhi, a online weekend of recovery from Japan. So,
whoa,
yeah, we're kind of we're the resource for the Pacific, I guess. It's for male survivors.
Right. So how many folks do you have in your group?
Last month in October, we had 10, which is the most we've ever had in a group meeting.
Whoa.
But it kind of varies between, we have about maybe 14, 15 total guys, and then just whoever makes it each week is, dependent on scheduling and all that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I wonder if you could kind of walk us through like how you went about setting up a support group, because I also have one, but I have found it really challenging to get folks into the group and getting the message out there. What's your secret?
Time, patience. I've been working on it, probably kicked the idea around maybe 6-7 years ago. I had went to a male survivor, I guess they're called weekends of recovery. I don't know if it's male survivor now, but men's healing, I think is the new moniker. And just inspired by that weekend, being with, I think, 15, 20 other survivors. It's the first time I had ever been with other survivors before. And just want to recreate that feeling out here in Hawaii. We're pretty isolated out here, so I knew I was going to be a tough go. Just, men don't really talk about that. Maybe just local culture, Asian culture also isn't highly on talking about these hard types of subjects around abuse and sexual abuse as well, of course. So yeah, the past 6-7 years, just kind of been on the down low. I've been trying to work with some of the therapists at the Sex Abuse Treatment Center and just letting them know that I was interested in a group. But I guess it's just never timing with going that route. Just not enough men that were in Sex Abuse Treatment Center that were also interested in a group. Wasn't until I ran it. It kind of started off mostly with just me and another person. So I had a friend that reached out that we were friends before, but then I think he saw my story and then shared with me he was abused as well. So it was kind of an informal duo for our first group meetings. We would just get together and, talk story, have over lunch or something, see how life's going and kids, marriage, life and everything. He moved away and then it's kind of back to square one. And then just kind of kept plugging away, kept sharing my story on social media till I guess another friend of mine shared his story. And then finally some of the, after letting the people know at therapists know at Sex Abuse Treatment Center, they were able to refer me to some people to the point where at least we had more than one. So I guess more than two, three's a crowd, right? So that made it I've used it in other avenues. There's the male survivor forums. Who else did I use? This recently, I did an interview with one of the local news stations regarding the group, and actually a couple of the guys, these amazing, courageous guys, wanted to come on the interview as well. So that was a great advertisement on the local news to get it out there, and we got an extra 4 guys to show up on this last October one. So it's been a long journey. It's it's very slow. It just kind of trickles until you get enough people to call it a group. I mean, I think it's just about patience, and then I've had multiple people reach out saying, it's great you have a group, I'm just not ready. So, they're kind of on just kind of waiting to where somewhere in their journey that they are ready to meet with a group. So I think just knowing that there's a group and that there's other survivors out there, it's just a matter of time before they, come around, maybe see it as something that will help them in their healing.
That's really awesome. I got that link that you sent me to see your interview, and you guys rocked on that news episode. It was really cool to see the bravery and the courage on that episode. I mean, to be on a local news show to tell your community that you're a survivor is quite moving, and then to get 4 other people to come forward and say, hey, I'm a survivor too, I would like to join you, is amazing. Do you have any other things scheduled like that to keep the word out there?
Unfortunately not right now. We did that interview in March, literally March, I think 9th, a week before COVID just really turned our lives upside down. So we had to wait 6 months or so before they actually could release the interview. Just for breaking COVID news, they thought that would be a good. So that was a little frustrating, but yeah, I was really proud of those guys. It takes a lot. We live in a small island, and yeah, once you do that, just you can't help as people, on your street or people you work with, you see that, and yeah, it's to kind of let that out there and let everybody know that you're a survivor, not really care, but more just not letting that baggage hold you down and have the secret weighing you down, just kind of freeing for a lot of them, for all of them, from their comments afterwards.
What's the format like for your group? You have 10 people, or sometimes more than 10. That's a lot.
10's the most. Yeah, 10 was. I think we'll do like a breakout room next time, like split it up. 10 is. We've had 8 in person, which is kind of a lot. Well, especially for me, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy. I don't have any experience or training. I just found I had some help from these guys from New Zealand. They actually visited Hawaii last summer, and we met up, and they had some good resources. They get government funding over there in New Zealand to provide these centers for men to help them, and I think they meet twice a week. They have enough people that they can split it up, and their resources. So it was good to get some of their pamphlets and things just to kind of get an idea for a peer support group. But I'm pretty lax. I don't really. I'll do like a check-in question. How you feeling? 2 words that describe you. Kind of classic group starting questions, and then just kind of depending on what's been going on with me, or maybe if there's something that has been in the news, we'll talk about that, and maybe how that's affected people's sense of being, and maybe there's another scandal that gets reported, or a new Weinstein goes to jail, whatever. Maybe whatever's in the current news, we bring that up, and then from there, we just kind of just talk stories depending on what's affecting people's personal lives. Try to keep it free flowing. It's not, the peer support group's different from, say, a therapist-led group.
Right. Yeah, that's true. At your next meeting, I wonder if you guys are going to be talking about the information that just came out about the Boy Scouts, and the close to about 90,000 people have signed up to get compensated, who have identified as abuse survivors, and that number is staggering. And
yeah, that's been how many years did that cover?
I don't know, since the inception, really. I think this is the bankruptcy, and they're staking their claim, and they should. These survivors are owed more than just money, and it's just heartbreaking. But the news is out there, and I'm hoping that people take note that the survivors are everywhere, and we've been through a lot, and we're not just going to disappear because people don't want to talk about it, right? And so I'm grateful that you and I and others can create spaces for folks to come forward and speak their truths.
Yeah, and a fortunate thing too is that even, say, these 90,000 brave men do get some kind of compensation, that doesn't really mean that they're like healed.
Nope.
That's just obviously acknowledgement by the people, by the organization that perhaps has a hand in allowing that abuse to happen will help. I think on one level, having that acknowledgement is helpful, but it's only one piece in that journey, right? It's having spoken to others who've had gone through like the legal route through some of the window legislation that allowed people whose statute of limitations had lapsed to sue civilly out here in Hawaii. They were able to maybe get some compensation, but they're still not ready to talk with a group. So it's not the end all be all. It's certainly a step. It's certainly nice to have that acknowledgement, but you still have to do the work after that to as a group, as for the journey. It's just a one step.
And it is a journey. It's ongoing for sure. Speaking of the legal system, last time you were here, you talked about your work in Hawaii around the legal system. I'm curious if there's any updates.
This year, the window legislation, which allowed, like I mentioned, people whose statute of limitations had lapsed, it ended in April, so there was a kind of a flurry of lawsuits that came out against known, pedophiles. One of the private schools here was named Punahou. Another hula teacher, Chinky Mahoy, he was sued way back in the 80s, but before the window closed, he was sued. That was criminally. Now he was sued civilly just this year as well. So we've had that window legislation, I think, since 2014. So that's been going on, and then, but that ended, and then we were looking to extend the statute of limitations to 50 years. So 50 years after your 18th birthday, so basically 68.
Yeah.
And that had passed our Senate but died in the House. So yes. So right now it's only 8 years, so 26 is your statute of limitations for civil. For criminal, luckily we had gotten rid of the statute of limitations for that back in the mid 2010s, I think 2014, 16. So criminally, we don't have a statute of limitations, but we're still working on, and that'll be our goal this upcoming legislative session to get that back up and get some votes, and maybe we'll have to do a little work on the language regarding amount of punitive damages and things like that. That's always a negotiation, I guess. So I think
that's like a lot of work.
Yeah, now it's all. Before I used to just testify in person to all these committees at the Capitol, and I think having someone and other survivors would show up as well. It really holds a lot of the sway, I think, when you have someone who's willing to come there in person and testify and get out of their comfort zone to talk about the abuse and just want to prevent that from happening from others. We kind of prevented from doing that now. I'm not sure if they're just what it'll be for next session, but for this, after the session reconvened due to COVID delays, everything was all, it was just submitted online. You just submitted your testimony, and then the online in-person. The in-person testimony, they just, for safety reasons, weren't having. So now we just have to depend on, behind the scenes politicking and that. So hopefully, I think one of the group with the group is to build our coalition for the future legislative bills and get them testifying, even if it is just writing out their story, and hopefully we can get more numbers for that. So another side goal is just to grow our political clout, I guess, over here in Hawaii, to see what we can do to affect change.
Man, they are lucky to have you out there for sure. It sounds like you're putting in a lot of hard work, a lot of time and energy, emotional energy, to testify, to tell your story, to get other people together. What would you say to the person who might be interested in following in your footsteps in maybe their local community and trying to affect change? How would they get started?
Yeah, it can seem kind of unwieldy, and if you're not familiar with the political system, I can see how people could be jaded, and especially with this year's political climate. I think, starting out with hopefully in your area you might have a sex abuse treatment center or a place where folks can get some therapy help or just crisis line help. If not, I think from there, it's different, I guess. In Hawaii, the capital is in Honolulu, which is also kind of like where most everybody lives, and I happen to work right across from the capital. So I've been able to just been able to walk over and walk over during lunch or whatever, and give my testimony and come back. So I'm pretty fortunate in that. Not everyone, unless you're living in Olympia. I mean, Washington State is a huge pretty big state, you know, or even if you live in California, you can live in Sacramento. To be able to actually get there to your capital, the state capital, might be a little prohibitive,
Right.
but you can still submit written testimony. You can reach out to your local news and radio. I've done some news and radio spots. Those were set up through the Sex Abuse Treatment Center. So yeah, I guess it's going to be. I luckily had them as a resource. Now I guess social media would probably be the best place for that. I've actually met some survivors just through Twitter, just trying to get the awareness through there, and people reach out, and so that was one way I was able to get participants in the group. But yeah, because might be, and then trying to think, Marcy Hamilton does some work trying to hit statute of limitations in all the states extended. So she'd be someone maybe to reach out to, or her website, to understand where your state stands as far as statute of limitations laws. And then yeah, maybe ask your therapist you'll want to connect into their little group of people. You know, therapists talk to other therapists. Maybe they go to conferences. They can kind of let the word out to their clients, know that, hey, there's interest in a group.
Yeah.
So it's just been a mix of everything, right? You know, from social media to referrals from therapists, and just letting other therapists know, and even some of the people, the law firms that have been involved in some of the civil cases through that window legislation. I let them know that, you know, there's a men's group to let their clients know. They can, you know, reach out when they're ready. So yeah, you gotta use, you know, every resource possible, and still then it's going to take some time. I don't want to say years to kind of get people down thinking it's gonna, but it might actually take years. It's, you know, it's a tough conversation.
It is a tough conversation, and you know, you are creating opportunities to have those conversations. So thank you so much for that. I'm wondering, how has all of this work that you've been doing in the community, how has that shaped your healing journey?
For me, I think it's sometimes when we kind of get to this point. I mean, we met in person before, and just, you know, you've been very active. I've seen all your shows and this podcast, of course. And sometimes when you get this, I don't want to say advanced, but you know, we walked the journey a bit, and sometimes you kind of forget how it was, right, in the beginning, when you hadn't told anybody, or you still didn't want. It's just that kind of crippling feeling of having this secret. And the group has helped me just kind of reflect on that, and just tell me how grateful I was just to, you know, be where I was at, you know, because you kind of forget when you're not in the muck, you forget how far you've come. And it's just been a good reminder to, you know, really appreciate where I'm at. And it's expanded just my world, right? Just knowing that there's other people out there and on this island, and just, you know, it feels good to be able to make a difference. Today's political climate, it can just seem very disheartening, and you can get very cynical that, oh, I can't make any change. It's all a game. It's all, you know, the whole thing's rigged. It's just, you know, two different sides of the same coin on the political aspects. But be able to make an actual impact on individuals' lives is, you know, this gives some positivity out there when there's so much crazy negativity in the world.
There's so much. There's so much, but when we can share our experiences and share our recovery, I think it creates that positive energy, right? And so, I
Yeah.
always encourage people to just share, just find a safe space where you can share and be your authentic self. And that's what I'm hearing that you're doing. And it definitely sounds like it's helping you. Any
Yeah. I think like it's easy to share with my group. Just when when you're in the group and everyone in that group um, knows what you're going through. You don't even really have to say it, or you can kind of mention something, and you see the nods and like, oh yeah, yeah. You can just tell that you don't have to go into detail, but everyone knows what you're talking about. Just all it takes is just that that look, or it feels good to know that maybe you can't explain it in the right words or whatever, that some feeling you felt all your life, but you don't have to, because you have these guys here that know. When we were together, I just took, you can see that look, or just a pat on the shoulder or something that was very very helpful, very just I guess not accommodating, but just getting an actual pat on the back that could mean a lot, right?
Yeah, empathy,
Yeah.
compassion. And what you're describing is a healthy, intimate environment. And as survivors, intimacy can be scary, even amongst other survivors and other just people in general. And so to have a safe space where you can practice intimacy development is necessary. And I encourage my listeners, like, if you have the time and space and opportunity to create your own unique men's group in your communities, do it, one person at a time. It doesn't take a lot, but it does require some patience and some commitment to the cause. And you're helping yourself and others, and I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, you'll definitely learn more about yourself. Because I think, I don't know if this is the same for you, DJ, just in my recovery, you always tend to like look ahead, look forward, right? Just like, okay, tomorrow's going to be a better day, or today's going to be a better day. And maybe you did all that hard work of kind of opening up the box and reliving and dissecting it. So you're like, okay, I'm good. You don't have to relive it every day. And so you just keep moving forward. You start your groups, and just having that humility to see how far you've come. Because you can see the look, hear the the nervousness in people's voices, and think, yeah, man, I remember that. Just being barely able to even name or talk about it to anybody. And yeah, it's just having that gratitude, gratitude for our far come, gratitude to be able to meet these amazing men that that are sharing their lives with you. And I think that connection and just intimacy is very lacking for men, let alone for survivors, male survivors. It's just men in general have to. I think it's just a lacking thing, and I think it's helped definitely my relationships with other like old friends or just non-survivors, just being kind of like a leader and just asking how someone is. Just the other day, I was like, hey, how are you? And it's just like, just very grateful that someone someone actually asked. And
Mm.
maybe I guess men don't really ask, right? Just kind of gloss it over. So I think just regardless if they're a survivor or not, just asking someone how they are and checking in, that can go a long way.
Absolutely. And listening to what they have to say, and not just trying to, be polite and skip right into whatever thing you want to share.
Yeah. This definitely helped with the listening. And active listening and just being there and present for people, and yeah, getting out of my own head. I think we survivors can get lost in our own thoughts in our own head. That's probably been one of our survivor techniques to, get lost in our head. I mean, that's just how we survived, we probably disassociated, which is pretty common. You got lost to survive during the situation. And while those things were helpful to survive, now we're adults, those things aren't helpful anymore. We have to kind of unlearn those things, and a group, I think, is a great way to kind of keep accountability to each other and to yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming back to let us know how things have been going for you. And I'm so excited to hear about your group and how it's just, blossomed. I know we talked about it some time ago about setting one up, and then now you have this huge following of folks who are coming in when they need, and they have a safe space. And, it's wonderful what you're doing for your community there on the island. And I hope that folks who are listening today can kind of take some guidance from some of the things that you shared, and maybe make an opportunity for themselves to create a group. So thank you, Andre, for coming on and sharing your update. I appreciate you, and I'm sure our listeners appreciate the things that you've shared today as well. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think these days now that everyone's groups are online. So like I said, we have this survivor from Japan that joined. So maybe the best, I know Snap does a lot of groups. They're a survivor group. I think they're a survivor network for those abused by priests, and
yep,
maybe even like 1 in 6 or the other forums. So there's still the online avenue. And then since everyone is going through COVID, maybe if you still not sure about setting up your own group, you can just maybe drop in on one of theirs. You just have to look at the time zone. But that would be a good start if you don't have the numbers in your area to get one going. I think getting online now with video conferencing being the new norm, you don't necessarily have to be in the same city, let alone country. So
that's true. You just got to make sure you got the right time.
Yeah, just work on the time zones, and obviously we would like to get back together and meet in person. But depending on your state, obviously, gathering is still kind of up in the air. Probably wouldn't be the safest thing to. It was funny that we used to meet in an old, what's it called, an old bank. So we were in the vault room. It was kind of
really
a little kind of ironic that here's our group about male survivors are meeting in the vault. We're trying to get this people out of their own personal vaults, right?
Right.
So maybe we won't meet in that anymore.
That is ironic.
Yeah.
Well, Andre, how can folks get a hold of you? Can you share your Twitter?
Yeah, probably the best is Twitter. That way, sort of active there on just tweeting about local and national survivor news. It's P as in Paul, Bisquera, B as in boy, ISQUERA is my Twitter handle, AP Bisquera.
Awesome. All righty.
Yeah.
Well, Andre, you're always welcome to come back. Let us know if there's any additional updates. And if you ever need anything, just let me know.
Right on. Thanks, DJ. It's great talking to you. Hope to get out to the Northwest in the summer next time and see you again.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime.
Same here in Hawaii. Come on out. There's only just take a test and get some some warmth. I know traveling right now is a little weary, but
I'm waiting for that vaccine.
otherwise we could just do another conference call. We get the group going, and it's been good. I hope good luck to your group as well, and thank you for allowing me to talk on your show.
Thank you for coming.
All right.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Journey On. I hope this story will help you on your healing journey. I want to hear from you. Leave me a message at anchor.fm/journeynonpod/message, and I might be able to respond to you on a future episode. Tweet me at @TheDJBurr. Follow me on Instagram at @TheDJBurr. Like the Journey On Facebook page at facebook.com/journeynonpod, and join our survivor community at facebook.com/journeynonsurvivors. Till next time. The music in this episode is by Conduit, Matthew Ortega. Learn more at www.condewit.com. That's conduit.com.